Well, our next speaker is Tim Baird. He's a vice president of Sales EMEA at ObservePoint. Tim is a senior revenue leader with over 15 years of experience across advertising, human capital management, and digital marketing. As an adventure seeker, he's lived in the USA, South Africa, and UAE, and coming back from UK, building teams and growing businesses. Today, Tim will be speaking about getting your digital data strategy right, something we're all curious and passionate about. Please welcome on stage Tim Baird. Welcome, Tim. The floor is yours.
Good morning. It's wonderful to be here. I really appreciated the introduction. I think it made me sound far better than I am, but I'll take it. It's amazing just viewing the first speaker and the technology that we have to connect remotely and how that's accelerated during COVID. But like I said, it's a privilege to be here. It feels like a few weeks ago, I was, much like you, bound to my home and only allowed out for essentials. And here we are. This is my first event in a couple of years. So forgive me if I refer to my notes and there's some reliance on them. I'm used to that second screen and it's gone. I'm here in person seeing you. I also have some nerves at not being able to see all of your reactions, really conscious that we're wearing masks where we can, but I hope that my message resonates with you today. Okay, first slide. Stories. I want to make this interesting for you today. I'm going to teach not groundbreaking principles, but a couple of guiding principles that you can use at work, wherever you are, or even in your life. And hopefully they can translate into what you're doing in your businesses in relation to your digital strategy. So I'll be speaking about ice cream and stories and things like that. So hopefully it's going to land. But stories, you can see there's 3 examples there. As we can't interact, we don't have that flying mic. I'm just making some suggestions on what might be a favorite story of yours. Perhaps I've snuck in one of mine. Star Wars and Harry Potter, I think the books are better. Or even Lord of the Rings. My personal favorite that I watch with my kids is The Hobbit. That's the one that I can watch again and again. And as I think about those stories, I ponder, what makes them good? Why do I like them? Why do we like them? Why are stories so powerful? And I've just offered some suggestions there that there are times where we just fall in love with the characters. Maybe they relate to us, the way they are, or what they're going through, or they're just so lovable. Certainly character is a big part of us enjoying stories. Perhaps it's the setting. I did, in The Hobbit, imagine myself living in that cave, and I thought that would be quite a wonderful thing to do. But wife says no, so we're stuck in a house. But you can see that there's some love and attachment to these things as you picture yourself somewhere, or if you love space, then Star Wars is certainly going to be something you'd enjoy. Maybe it's the dialogue. Maybe it's that storyline of what happens and the relationships that form between characters and different parties. But you can see that I've put it a little bit larger than everything else, the quest or the mission. I think that's one of the critical elements of a good story. You want to feel like something's going to happen. There's always some mission, and normally there's a good guy or a bad guy, some description, and good has to prevail, something like that. But I do think there's something in that quest. So a really basic definition of a quest is a search or pursuit for something. And I imagine, not being an author, not being a writer, But I imagine that writers and authors put a lot of focus on defining that quest for their characters. I think it's highly unlikely that that happens by accident. They probably work with the end in mind. And I do think that's significant. So one of the principles that I want to share with you today, hopefully, is the power in effective data storytelling. Because I think there's similarities. I think they're almost the same. They certainly follow the same starting points and the same execution as well. So let's move this back to data. And I have some thoughts around what data is, and I want to really simplify it, but just put in our minds, what is this data that we're all talking about, and especially digital data? I think it's a collection of facts that describe something. So it's like your Spotify playlist. I think that's my favorite ever app. I just love music, and Spotify is just incredible. To think that a few years ago we had to download only a few specific songs or something like that. So your Spotify playlist is a little portion of data. Or thinking back to a panel that I watched yesterday, maybe it's how long on average you spend on TikTok. Don't worry, I watch it too. I think we all spend too long on those things. But TikTok, I think they'll want you there. And of course, there's big business advantages to the TikTok app. So really, what I'm saying is that we're surrounded by data. So let me speak a bit more about data and how we might use it. Thank you. So I have some fun facts. I sound really loud to me now, but maybe I sound better for you at the back. Well, first on, this is a way that we can interact. Hands up if you have come across the term or know what a zettabyte is. That doesn't surprise me. I'm kind of glad, because I didn't know what it was until I was researching. But a zettabyte, it's 1 trillion gigabytes. So really, it's a huge, almost unfathomable amount of number. But we use that to define data. That's how much of it there is. So 2021, if you look at Statista, they're saying that we will create 74 zettabytes of data. It's also, I read that we send 306.4 billion emails a day. You all contribute to that. And actually that 90% of the world's data has been created in the last 2 years. So we're seeing, and I know we're all feeling, a significant trend in just how much data that we have. And what's really interesting is all of those ramifications of all of the data, as well as the changes that we need to make in our organizations to handle it. After all, what is data, and especially good data, if you can't make use of it? So, where do we start with all of this data? Or back to my story, there's that connection. What story do we tell? And I think the first principle that I'd like to share is that we should just have that focused understanding of the problem that we're trying to solve. Or in other words, having a clear quest. I'd like to share a real life example. And again, I'll take a little bit of a survey in the room. Have any of you come across the Simon personal communicator from IBM? Wow, no one. This was an incredible device in 1992. It had a long list of features. It was a phone or a smart device back in 1992. The long list of features comparable to the iPhone or any phone that you might use today. The battery wiped out within an hour. It cost about $900, which I think, that's a lot today, but certainly a lot in 1992. That would probably buy you a small house. And if you'd surveyed the customers at the time, they probably wanted something that was easy to use, stored their contacts. I remember having all my contacts in my first job in advertising on the little cards. That was painful. And I expect, much like today, we're seeking that long battery life as well. So what problem was IBM solving for? I think that they failed, with all due respect, because it was an incredible device at that time, but it just didn't, it really did fail. They failed to define at the beginning kind of what problem that they were solving. Rather, they aimed to create the best possible device with everything possible based on the technology they had at the time. And they did do that, but it didn't work from resonating with the market and solving a problem and being a success from a financial perspective. So I'd ask you a rhetorical question. My clicker needs lots of strength today. What problem are you solving for? Really think about that. And I hope that as you walk away from these couple of days, that there is some action, there's some benefit, that there's some sort of positive change, that there's something learned, or it's just inspired some thinking. And maybe this is just one very small thing in your organization, whether it's very close to you in your day-to-day, or if it's perhaps wider. What problem are you solving for? I promised I would share a story about ice cream, and I do have an example. So you've got to imagine this, not eating the ice cream, that's later. Your ice cream is very special because it's milk alternative ice cream. So, cashew milk, almond milk, soy milk, all of those. And revenue has been down, and your business wants to know why. You're giving a giant data set of all global sales for the last 3 years, and you need to prepare a presentation on what you find to someone super important. That sounds fun. So this is where we need to think back to the way that authors work and the stories by precisely defining the quest. Because realistically, if you think about a data set that large, it could answer hundreds of questions, but what for and what's it going to do? So where might I start as I pull this apart? Here we go. Maybe a question like, which one of our ice cream flavors is the worst selling? So then it starts to be simple and well defined. And from that answer, I can really use something. So we're starting to move from that first principle of what problem are we solving for. We're being very simple and specific with what we want to find so that it's really actionable. And then we might even ask more questions like, what are all of our ice cream flavors? How much of each do we sell? How often do we restock? But I do think there's a great power in the simplicity, having that problem outlined, having some of those questions and thinking about that quest or that mission to get to where we need to be. So I know this is a really simple example, but I hope that you can see how that might resonate, might be relatable in your area of work, knowing that we're all in different roles and different companies at different stages of a digital journey and some sort of a digital transformation. I think my next slide is I mentioned solution. Perhaps I should have popped that up. So find that solution. My next slide is a video. I'm going to leave you with a message, and I'll speak over the video, but it's a message, and again, I hope it kind of lands with you. But it'll be my closing remarks. So you're about 4 minutes away, I think. I'm going to click one more time, and if the video starts, which it hasn't, so could we have the video on, please? We had a plan B, which was good that we had a plan B. If we don't make it quick, everyone's going to be out for ice cream. Okay, well, hopefully the visual of the video as that comes up, it will, here we go, put the words into some more meaning. So the internet has changed everything. It helps us learn about our past and even dream about where we're going in the future. Along the way, we document all of our moments for those that come after us. Over 2 centuries ago, the Industrial Revolution was built on the principles of innovation and technology to help redefine the standard of living for all the world. The events of 2020 have only accelerated digital transformation and spurred yet another movement, the digital revolution. The revolution is being led by every marketer, analyst, and insights professional who's using data to create engaging experiences and build a better digital world. Regardless of what we call ourselves, we are all experience makers. Instead of factories, assembly lines, and machinery, we use innovative software, data centers, and beautiful design to create memorable and lasting connections with our customers. We're sitting behind every website, every application, and every campaign, turning data. Lost my place. We help find the right car to buy and the clothes to wear. We deliver packages to remote places, medical supplies across town, and security and peace of mind when at home. We help tired travelers find rest. We help make meaningful connections that span multiple generations. We help families find a safe place to make their life happen. We aren't pilots, some of you might be, but we help people see the world. We make it easier to show our love for someone. We're building a better digital world all around us, a world where you can connect with distant loved ones in seconds or order dinner from an app. We might not be teachers, but we help the world learn. We aren't doctors, but we help people live healthier lives. We aren't travel guides, but we help the world explore. We may not be actors, but we deliver happiness. We are not reporters, but we keep the world informed. We may not work in libraries or research facilities, but we help fight sickness and disease every day. We aren't the first responders, but we help deliver food and water supply to those in need. The digital revolution is accelerating, and we're all helping to drive it. And as we rely on insights driven by data, the world relies on each of us to create these special moments, memorable digital experiences that change people's lives. So join the revolution to build a better digital world and again, push the human race forward. You can see the video's on a little bit of a lag there, but so maybe some of that wouldn't have perfectly matched what was on the screen, but it gives me a few moments to thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed some of those principles. I hope it's inspired you to get some ice cream later, but to really define the problem, to really define what problem you're solving for, and to be very specific and simple about how you use your data, as we're all trying to be more data-driven in what we do to find that solution. Thank you for listening. Good to be with you.
Thank you so much, Tim, for that impactful and a powerful presentation. I think with the data being at the core of everything, we all benefited greatly from your speech. And next